Happy Thanksgiving, folks! And if you don't celebrate it, well, I hope you're having a good day too. My name is Brandon, welcome to Quick Flix. Today, we are covering Black Friday, a Thanksgiving-themed invasion movie, directed by Casey Tebow, releasing in 2021, starring horror comedy king Bruce Campbell from, as you all probably know, the Evil Dead franchise. We follow a group of retail workers as they fight the most horrific monsters of all, Black Friday shoppers. I know, right? It's pretty heckin' crazy. But that's not all they're facing tonight. We got Deadite-like alien creatures to take on, so we pretty much have Evil Dead, but Ash never left S-Mart.
Shop smart. Shop S-Mart.
A fun fact for you, the movie even uses the Evil Dead font, so we get quite the similarities here. Anyway, I'll stop wasting your time, let's hop into the movie. The movie opens up on Thanksgiving night, where store clerk, Monty, stumbles upon a super freaky alien plant as he prepares for Black Friday shoppers. The weird plant seems to hatch, and when his fellow employees find him, he's looking just a bit infected. This leads into a nifty title sequence. After the title sequence, we meet toy store clerk's divorced father, Ken, played by Devin Sawa, who you may recognize as Alex Browning from Final Destination, and outcast in his family, Chris, who is played by Ryan Lee, who you also may recognize from Super 8 as Carrie. As they commute to their jobs at We Love Toys, they complain about working Thanksgiving night and dread the Black Friday shoppers. At work, germaphobe Chris scrubs his hands clean, while his co-worker, Bircher, flips channels, skipping right past a news report of a mysterious glowing meteor so he can get his Chucky fix to decompress from the Black Friday stress.
Green Friday.
What?
Corporate said Black Friday was racist, so they changed it to Green Friday.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention the annoying consecutive employee of the month, Anita.
Your undershirt is untucked. That's grounds for a write-up.
Bircher steps out for a cigarette, cause he don't want to deal with that, and accidentally locks the back door on himself. He yells in fear as a mysterious threat gores him to death. Meanwhile, Ken flirts with fellow employee, Marnie. They talk about meeting up for pancakes when nitpicky manager, Brian, calls all employees to gather for a grim pre-shift meeting. Brian informing them that there will be no paid breaks and high-stress conditions from the intense shoppers. Ken is appointed to help the new guy, Emmett, which I've never heard of starting your job on Black Friday, but hey, who better to help teach you than Ken?
If some crazy lady comes up to me and asks me, where's the Dunkin' Yo-Yos?
Escort them to the yo-yo section, and then...
No, you're already trying too hard. You point them in the direction of fucking wherever and they'll find it.
Chris is assigned to register duty by the sassy Brian, who lets in the horde of shoppers. After the initial stampede of customers, Chris struggles at the register and is harassed by a grandma.
Will you hurry up?
Ma'am, I'm trying.
Oh, get it together, Dickless.
She makes such a scene that Brian closes the lane and sends the poor germaphobe to clean puke near the back of the store. Reluctantly, Chris agrees and goes to clean the mess. That does not look normal. I would definitely stay away from it if I were you, Chris. He sees the infected guy hiding behind a big toy letter box thing when the rabid man suddenly attacks. But Chris acts quickly and uses a ball storage bin thing that you typically see at Walmart to trap the infected man. He quickly applies hand sanitizer only to get attacked from behind by an infected woman. Oh great, you made him waste his Germ-X, jerk. Chris don't like that very much and smacks the old lady with a sack filled with something, I don't know what that is. Archie walks out, wondering what in tarnation just happened. This causes the whole store to be temporarily shut down and evacuated. The crew thinks Chris is guilty of murder and place him under citizen's arrest. Brian zip ties him to a chair in the stockroom while he argues his innocence. General Manager Jonathan finally makes his groovy debut.
We're 1 hour into Black Friday and we're escorting customers away from the store?
And while he, Chris, Brian, Marnie, and employee of the month Anita argue in the back, first day on the job guy, Emmett, is attacked by an infected customer who shoots a long suction tongue into his face. What a weird little thing. Ken skates on in and saves him via skateboard, then helping him to the back with the others. Ken corroborates Chris's story to the rest of the team, finally convincing them that something is indeed wrong. Brian and Marnie try calling the cops, but the line is busy. Thank God, because we need customers, baby.
You call the cops, and this place shuts down. Now, if we work efficiently, we can reopen by maybe 2 a.m.
While the team argues about the game plan, Emmett begins to transform into an infected monster. The transformed Emmett attacks Anita, doing the weird tongue thing again, but this time plunging out from her throat. He gets ready to attack the others, but gets scared off by Stockman Archie and his nail gun. Jonathan calls for help from another store, but they are also under attack from infected customers. The other store also warns that the infected customers are building something. She doesn't know what, but they just keep building and killing.
Hello?
Jonathan stresses out, as all he wants to do is meet the sales goal for the night, so corporate doesn't get mad at him, but is quickly interrupted by an infected Anita. The team, not wanting to deal with that, quickly scrambles out onto the floor, just to see an absolute mess. Oh, what you got there, little guy? A little half corpse? A little half corpsey? Archie plans for the group to split up, close all entrances, and secure the store. Jonathan and Ken escort old lady Ruth and Marnie to hide in the back office, then taking a potty break. While Jonathan drops his load, Ken looks for his secret alcohol stash, but drops the bottle on the ground. He bends down to soak in the traumatic moment. When he sees that someone else is in there with them. That someone turns out to be infected, breaking out of the stall and attacking Ken. They crash through the wall together, and the infected pins Ken to the ground, but Jonathan tosses him a piece of the broken bottle and stabs this fool in the neck. Meanwhile, Brian, Archie, and Chris, who are decked out in some toy gear, take out an infected screaming lady and shut the emergency exit to keep more customers from entering. Marnie watches from the cameras and notices the infected doing something weird. She goes to investigate in person and sees that the infected customers are absorbing themselves into a glowing parasite thing, making it grow bigger and bigger. The crew all meet up after their crazy adventures, and while they try to figure out how to keep the store safe, Ken is fed up with it and just wants to get his bonus and leave to go be with his kids. However, Jonathan admits to the team that there were in fact no bonuses, and there was also a planned post-holiday layoff on the way, infuriating everybody. Marnie gives him a swift punch to the face, while Ruth watches a police car coming to the rescue to save the day. Oh. Never mind. Infected customers swarm the store, everyone running for their lives in different directions. Chris gets attacked and almost leeched on, but Archie comes to aid and throws that sucker. Unfortunately, he gets sucked up by a monster. He tells Chris to go on and get, while he battles off this monster.
Got your doorbusters right here, motherfucker.
Heck yeah you do, brother. A very non-human monster hits him in the face, stunning him long enough to get sucked up and killed as Chris watches in horror. The infected Emmett sees him and chases him into the back, scaring the daylights out of Brian. Marnie grabs a wrench and knocks him to the floor before beating him into a bloody pulp. They lock the doors to the stockroom and assess the losses of Ruth and Archie, reminiscing on their jobs, sharing a Thanksgiving meal of lunch meat turkey as a team. Aww. How festive. The mood, however, quickly sours, as Ken calls Chris out for wasting his potential at a toy store, and Marnie calling Ken out for not treating her like a real girlfriend. Ken doesn't have time for this though, and decides to leave the group to try and escape, but Chris and Marnie follow him. And it's kinda like they all forgot what just happened. They scout the back of the stockroom when they realize the shipment truck is still there and make a plan to run out to the truck. Jonathan offers to sacrifice himself, but strong, not actually dead monster Emmett comes back and ambushes the group. Brian subdues Emmett, but Ken gets bitten in the melee. Thinking he's now infected, he keeps his distance from the group and sends them on their way, staying behind. They head to the truck and open the door to get inside. Figuring out they can't get to the driver's seat from the back, Chris goes out the top hatch and sees Bircher. Bircher turns around to see him, but walks away. Seemingly, the coast is clear, but Bircher was just getting backup. They chase Chris, who climbs into the cab, but lacks the knowledge on how the heck to drive this thing. He sneaks back outside and climbs through the hatch back to the group. He informs them of the situation when the monsters start shaking and ripping the truck apart. One grabs Marnie, but they tear its finger off. They decide to evacuate the truck as it's no longer safe and hide on the roof of the store. Meanwhile, Ken is waiting to turn when he stumbles across a rag containing the missing chunk of his arm. He comes to the realization that Brian was the one who bit him, not the infected Emmett. so he's actually not at risk of infection, and his sacrifice was for nothing. He's got other problems though, as the crazy looking monster breaks through the door and sets its sights on Ken. He roller skates away, throwing a malfunctioning dentist toy bear as a distraction. It sparks up and catches a fire. He proceeds to play a little game of hide and seek with the crazy mutated monster, but after a long session, the monster finally gets a hold of Ken and drags him away. Back on the roof, Jonathan finally hits his breaking point and has a meltdown as he realizes there seems to be no escape. With the building up in flames and infected surrounding them, there's not many options. He goes on a rant about life in retail and how stressful it is before opening a hatch with tons of infected under and throwing himself into the horde. Rest in peace to the king, baby. Things are looking heck out of luck for our team when Brian admits to Marnie and Chris that he chose to bite Ken to get him out of the group. Marnie, obviously angry, starts to hit him when they both fall off the roof. Chris goes to check on them, seeing they fell perfectly fine into a dumpster. They encourage him to follow behind, leaving Chris no choice but to overcome his germophobia fears and jump in. Marnie and Chris leave Brian behind to find a potential unlocked car for an escape, but Brian follows regardless. They see the sack entity that the infected customers have been joining to make coming through the roof. It begins to turn into a Godzilla-like monster. Brian decides to put his customer service skill to the test to try and reason with the creature. While trying to talk this entity down, he realizes that the whole monster is made up of all of the shoppers. It honestly looks really cool. When things seem to be going well, the monster flicks him like a bug and kills him. Back inside, Ken awakes to see the monster dragging him to the sack. He notices the monster is actually the annoying grandma from earlier. She absorbs into the sack, but Ken escapes in time and runs outside to find Chris and Marnie. They hug and apologize to one another for their fight. Before developing a half-baked plan to try and beat this thing, Ken goes out and distracts the monster while Chris starts a forklift. He waits for the monster's giant tongue to latch on and jumps out as the monster launches the forklift into itself, damaging it enough to fall down and burn in the fire. The trio takes advantage and runs to Ken's car. He gets notified on his phone that his daughters are safe and are at a safe haven. The group gets ready to leave, but of course, not before stopping for pancakes. As they race off, multiple monsters rise again in the distance, and the screen cuts to black. Let me know what you thought of Black Friday. Did you like it? Hate it? Make you feel thankful? Let me know down below. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.